every evening before we head off to bed, we both journal. And what I do in my journal, outside of just freeform journal, is I review every evening what went well that day, what I can do to improve for the next day, and then at least 3 things, usually it's a whole list, but at least 3 things for which I am grateful for that occurred that day. And again, generally it's like 2 or 3 pages. But what that does is it does bring it back to heart, and I can viscerally and visually have it come back to me. And it's almost as though I'm experiencing it again. And it's such a beautiful sensation and such a beautiful feeling. And then what that does is it kind of reinforces that, yes, this is what my life is meant to be. And therefore, I'm attracting more of that back into my life and more of that back into my life, because I know that this is what life is meant to feel like. This feeling, this amazingness. And so my days suddenly start to feel like that. Even when things happen, which they do. We've experienced like a series of these events where like it's not like life is just rose petals and champagne. We have a lot of things that happen and go sideways. But even through it, that feeling of gratitude is still there.
Yeah.
Because we see the potential in all of it.
Yeah.
And so that practice helps keep that in motion. How about your journal?
Yeah, I mean, in many ways it's similar. I'm not a 2 to 3 pager, although I honor and respect that approach. It just doesn't work for me in that sense. I don't feel as connected to. I kind of get into a point where I feel like I'm just writing to write, and I like to be a little bit more succinct. And that's the beauty of practice, is that everyone approaches things differently, right? And so, yeah, for me, it is very similar. I focus on, what did I accomplish, things that I desired to accomplish today? If I didn't, what can I do the next day or within the week? What were the wins that I had for the day? And then what could be improved? In many ways, just providing my own feedback as a reflection point. And then the 3 or more things for gratitude. That's always a good one. And when I first started, I felt like it was tough to find the 3 things, because I wanted to overthink. And I wanted to there's just so many, right? And I feel like for those who are just starting their gratitude practice or diving in or want to step into living in gratitude, it's not about how many, whether you list 1 or 50 things you're grateful for. In my experience, I don't find it any different. It's the intention, the desire to be in gratitude, not the result of gratitude. It says as much of life in the experience and the process, not the result. And so there are some nights where, it's just maybe one of those days where I'm just, there's so much just clicking and moving, and I just feel so grateful. And there's some days where I'm struggling, straight up, had a rough day, just doing my best to flow through, and all I can think about is oh my gosh, I am so grateful that I have a pillow that I get to sleep on tonight.
Yeah.
It can be that simple, and it doesn't have to feel stupid. Oh man, and maybe the next day you might realize there's actually a lot I can be grateful for. That's okay. Allow all of it. Allow all the feels. Feel all the feels. And I think that's been really helpful. It's not putting an expectation on the amount of gratitude, just allowing it to be what it is. If I had 1 win, if I had 10 wins, if I had 1 piece of feedback or 10 pieces of feedback, it doesn't matter. Yeah. it all helps. It all helps us get to where we desire to be, because it provides, to some degree, a level of specificity and helps us shape where we desire to be. It's not just out in the ethers. It becomes more purposeful and intentional because we are bringing purpose and intention into it.